Good morning, I'm Savannah Hugdahl, Gloucester County's Public Communications Media Specialist. We're glad you tuned in today. October is packed with fun events for Gloucester County and its community partners. We've got a rabies clinic, a career fair, trick-or-treating at the library, and an election that will determine many of the Board of Supervisors and school board members for the county. We're going to talk about all that today. The first date you should put on your calendar is October 18th. We're dedicating 2 historic markers at Abington Park. Did you know that the elementary school and park there is where most of the Battle of the Hook fighting took place? Here's Robert Kelly to explain a little more.
Hey, this is Robert from the Gloucester Museum of History, and we are coming to you today from Abington Elementary School. I want to tell you about a great event that we'll be hosting here at this very spot on Wednesday, October 18th at 5:00 p.m. It was 1781 in the closing days of the American Revolution. British troops were dug in at Yorktown. There was a small contingent of British troops stationed at Gloucester Point. They were well fortified, they were dug in, and George Washington was a little concerned about this. He didn't want the troops that were in Yorktown under Cornwallis to be able to go across the York River and to combine with the British troops that were at Gloucester Point. He decided to send French and American troops to the area of Gloucester Courthouse, and those troops then worked their way south. A lot of folks may wonder why we're dedicating these signs here at Abington Elementary School. Well, in 2018, Gloucester County received a grant from the National Park Service to do research about the Battle of the Hook. And it was determined that Abington Elementary, Abington Park, was in the center of the core battlefield area, meaning that about 250 years ago, fighting during the Battle of the Hook would have taken place right in this area. It was a cavalry conflict between the British cavalry under Lieutenant Colonel Tarleton and the French cavalry under the Duc de Lauzon. Lauzon's forces won the day. Tarleton and his forces retreated to Gloucester Point, where they would stay until October 19th, 1781, when they would be part of the surrender following Yorktown. If you'd like to come to the signage unveiling, it will be held right here at Abington Elementary on Wednesday, October 18th at 5 p.m. It'll be a short ceremony. There'll be a little bit of a historical background, some speakers. The ceremony will conclude with a moment of silence and wreath laying to remember those French soldiers that fell fighting for American freedom and liberty here in Gloucester County.
The ceremony is open to the public, and we hope you stop by. The museum's been busy over the last few weeks. We need to give a special shout out to Lauren Landry, one of our high school interns who put together an oral history project with Benjamin Lee over the summer. Lee's Market used to be on Main Street, right next to the Lulu Bird's kitchen building. I'll show you a snippet of what Lauren learned about the grocery store.
My name is Lauren Landry. I'm 16 years old. And I wanted to keep the stories alive of small town Gloucester and the businesses that may be gone but won't be forgotten. What you're about to see is a collection of footage that I have put together with a project that is very dear to my heart. So I interviewed Benjamin Lee, who owned Lee's Market. Benjamin Lee is my best friend's grandfather, and they are just the sweetest family. I was very excited about this opportunity to interview him and to get to know his story a little bit more.
There was a house up here that I would get the groceries together and drive up there, and I'd have to raise the window in the kitchen, crawl through the window, and put the groceries in the kitchen and put all the cold stuff in the refrigerator. You know, yeah, that's the way things were done back then, you know. The front entrance was right here, and this was all plate glass across the front here. And our cash registers were right in front. And my dad's meat department was all in the back, and my dad's meat department was the draw. That's why people came into our store, because we had the same canned goods as everybody else. It looks like such a small area now, you wouldn't think all that was going on there. Today, I still have people come up to me on the street and tell me what a wonderful time they had there and how much they love my father, which it's really nice.
You can watch Market Memories, the family behind Lee's Market, on the Gloucester County YouTube page. And if you're interested, you can also go there to watch the full interview between Lauren and Mr. Lee. Okay, speaking of high school, do you have a student in your life who might be ready to start thinking about a career? How about an adult who might be ready for a new path? Let them know about the College Career and Resource Fair coming to Gloucester High School on October 19th. As of today, there are 46 representatives from colleges, technical schools, military branches, and other organizations planning to attend. Even if you don't know what you want your next step to be, this is a great chance to come by and consider opportunities that you might not have known about before.
I want to be a vet. The veterinary program, the 2-year college that they have at Virginia Beach, is a special program for the young people who want to be vet techs. You go to school 2 days a week, and 2 days a week you work in the veterinary office. The helicopters are amazing. Mr. Bennings, he has a program called Youth Aeronautics that's in Mattapanai over here in West Point. They take youngsters to become interns, to learn how to work on helicopters, to learn how to become helicopter pilots. That's a tremendous opportunity, and it's right here. We're having 45 at this moment, colleges, career people, CNU, Virginia Tech, Radford, Norfolk State, Hampton University, to share with whoever comes. Look, we're here to help you make decisions. Woodrow Wilson Rehabilitation Center. That is a school for young people who may be challenged, physically challenged, and that's an opportunity for them. Sometimes we don't know where we want to go. Here is an opportunity for me to figure out, I want to be a nurse. I like doing welding. I can go to Rappahannock Community College. We have a new welding center being built right here in Glens. So this is for everybody, not just for students who want to go to college and get a degree, but for students who are thinking, maybe I can do something else. We're opening up the scope. Who should be here? Any parent, any person, any adult who's thinking, I think I want to change. That's one. Every student that comes to this high school, who goes to Middlesex, who goes to Matthews, 10th, 11th, 12th, let all the kids come. Is there an opportunity? Maybe there is. I hadn't thought about it. What is it going to take? 2 hours? From 5 to 7, October 19th on a Thursday. Not only that, we have this woman who's making 300 cookies. She's fabulous. I don't want to say no, there's no way. I want to hear yes. Sí se puede. Yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. And there are going to be people here to help you, to find your path, find that yellow brick road.
Dr. Parker put it best. This is a tremendous opportunity. Don't miss it if you're considering your next steps. There's another kind of fair on the horizon too. Our Economic Development Department is preparing a reverse vendor fair for December 12th. If you have a business that's ready to partner with Gloucester County or Gloucester County Public Schools, plan to come by. You can register now by scanning the QR code on the screen. This next event is for all you dog owners in Gloucester County, myself included. How's your pup doing on its rabies vaccination? Did you know that it's actually state law that all dogs and cats 4 months and older have to have a current rabies vaccination to keep our community safe and healthy? Animal Control is partnering with the Gloucester Veterinary Hospital, Rotary Club, Humane Society, and several other organizations to offer a drive-through rabies clinic on October 28th. Here's Chief Animal Control Officer Stephen Baranek with the details.
Rabies is important because it is contagious. If you don't have a good rabies shot for your dog or cat, which is required by state law, and they do get rabies, you won't know it until they actually get sick. And again, it is contagious and it's a public safety issue. October 28th at the high school between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, we're going to be doing a rabies clinic. First time we've done one in about 11 years. There was a lot of changes inside the rabies laws where we couldn't do it, but now with cooperation with the Gloucester vets and other veterinarians inside the area, we're going to have one. We'd need to go to the student parking lot at the high school where you keep your dogs inside your vehicles until the veterinarian or the vet tech is ready to go ahead and administer the rabies vaccination. If you bring paperwork that shows that your dog has had a rabies shot before in the past, they will make that a 3-year shot. But if you do not have that paperwork, it just goes right to a 1-year shot instead. There's a $10 donation for the rabies vaccination. That donation is going to go towards Friends of Animal Control, which is a nonprofit group that helps take care of the animals that are here at the shelter.
Remember, this is a cash-only event, and it's first come, first served, so plan to be there as close to 1 p.m. as you can manage. One of the groups helping out with the rabies event is our Community Emergency Response Team. This group of local volunteers steps in whenever possible to help reserve our first responders for emergency situations. There's actually a CERT training coming up on October 21st and 22nd. Here's why you might want to sign up.
October 21st and 22nd, we are having a new member CERT class. It will be held in Matthews County because Gloucester CERT partners with Middlesex and Matthews to train up volunteers to help during emergency situations. One of the biggest jobs that CERT has is being available for our first responders, and that could be just letting people know that that road is blocked. Sometimes it's sitting next to a power line until Dominion can get there so the first responders can go out and answer emergency calls. It could be things like sitting outside the shelter with our shelter support unit. Our training is 2 days, it's free, and it helps you to be affiliated with an organization so that if there is a need, you have been trained. So we encourage you to come. You can register by going to gloucesterva.gov, and we encourage you to sign up. You can call 804-693-1390 and learn more about CERT, and we hope you come.
Here's a little insider information. Jane Winter is great to work with, and if you show up to her events, a lot of times she's got food for you. So if you were looking for a sign to sign up for CERT, this is it. Do it. Sign up for CERT. Of course, among families, October is primarily known for picking out your costumes and finding the largest bag you can carry, because Halloween is coming up. Did you know that your kids can trick-or-treat inside the Gloucester County Public Library on Main Street? They're already decorating for their Halloween spooktacular, and there's an event for adults about the history of Halloween as well. Here's a few of the events the library has planned for the next few weeks.
Hi, and here's what's happening at the library. On Wednesday, October 18th at 6 p.m. at the main library, we have Outside Unafraid, presented by Bonchicomco State Park. Learn how to identify some of the park's scariest species. They're hands-on activities. This is a family event best suited for grades 4 through 6 and their caregivers. Registration is open. On Saturday, October 21st at 2 p.m. at the main library, let's draw Halloween. Learn to draw a jack-o'-lantern, black cat, vampire bat, and more. This is for grades K through 5. Registration is open. On Thursday, October 26th at 6 p.m. at the main library, we have Halloween, A Haunted History. This will be presented by the Ladies Victorian, and there'll be games and refreshments. Costumes are optional, but there will be a prize for the best one. This is for adults 18 and over. Registration is open. On Wednesday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m. at the main library, we have the Yum Yum Cookbook Club. The library chef will demonstrate recipes for the Instant Pot. Now this is for adults 18 and over. Space will be limited and registration opens on October 18th. On Saturday, November 4th at 11 a.m. at the main library, we have Cookies for Thanksgiving. Make fun-themed cookies for the holidays. This is for grades 6 through 12, and registration opens October 21st. On Thursday, November 9th at 6 p.m. at the main library, we have Jigsaw Puzzle Showdown. Teams of 2 to 4 will race to complete a 500-piece puzzle. This is for adults 18 and over, and registration opens October 26th. We have a Thanksgiving story time at the main library on Tuesday, November 14th at 10:15 a.m. for ages birth through 24 months. On Wednesday, November 15th at 10:15 a.m. for ages 3 to 5. And on Thursday, November 16th at 10:15 a.m. for 2-year-olds. Celebrate Thanksgiving with a special story time. Registration opens October 31st. And remember, on October 31st at the main library from 5:30 to 7:30, we have Spooktacular. So dress up in your favorite Halloween costumes and come trick-or-treating in the library. This is a family event and no registration is required. For the month of October, Friends of the Library are having a Fill Up a Bag for $5 sale. They will provide the bag. To register for any of these programs, just call the library hosting the program. And remember, it's always a great day to visit the library.
Isn't that just precious? And I've been to some of the classes for adults. They're free, fun, and cover all kinds of interests. Definitely check them out if you haven't been to one of the library's classes before. Last but certainly not least, we want to make sure you're prepared for the election. November 7th is still weeks away, but if you're ready to make your voice known, you can do it now. In-person early voting is happening at the elections office on Main Street today. And until October 27th, you can request to vote by absentee ballot. Director of Elections Bobby Morgan explained some of the process to me in this month's podcast. Take a listen. Welcome to the Current Conversations podcast. I'm Savannah Hugdahl, our public communication media specialist, and I am hosting today with Bobby Morgan, the Director of Elections. So thanks for coming on, Bobby.
Thank you for having me, Savannah.
I just wanted to start off introducing you to people who might not have met you, because this is an important position, but it's not one where you might meet everybody. So, can you tell me, how did you come to be the director of elections and how long have you held that job?
Well, I actually came to it right after my birthday 19 years ago. And so I've been doing it ever since. I've moved up. I've been in each position. I started out as an assistant, moved to deputy before I moved to the director of elections. And so I know all pieces, parts of it, and I'm very blessed to know that. I have met a significant amount of people in this community, and I love to serve here because I think Gloucester County voters are very kind and appreciative. And I like how when they do come in the office and I do get to see them, is how they thank my staff. And I always appreciate that because I think that's something that we do need to say. There's a lot of staff members and election officers and electoral board that play a role in making sure the integrity of the elections is maintained. And so I love serving Gloucester County.
We do have the best citizens. And I
Yeah.
especially love the ones who care enough to get involved in our electoral process, to go vote
Yes.
and to make their voices heard, which I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely. And we have over 100 election officers that serve in this capacity. And so we are very grateful to a giving community that's willing to serve.
Yes, absolutely. So for this election that's coming up on November 7th, can you
Uh-huh.
tell me what positions are on the ballot? Like, what are people deciding this time?
Yeah, there's a lot on our ballot this year, lots and lots of choices. I hope I don't bore you as I go through all of these selections. We have Senate, House, Clerk of Court, Commonwealth's Attorney, Sheriff, Commissioner of Revenue, Treasurer. We have Board of Supervisors for Ware, Abington, Gloucester Point, and at-large seats. And we have your school board Ware, Abington, Gloucester Point, and at-large seats. We also have a special at-large for the school board this year. That's why it's called a general and special elections this year, because of that additional seat. We do also have 2 seats for our soil and water, but for all of the actual candidate names, since there are so many, you can look at them on our sample ballot.
That was going to be something I asked too. So where can people find a sample ballot to see what's coming up and what they get to decide between, or who they
Yeah,
get to decide between?
absolutely. That's awesome. I always recommend people going and looking at the sample ballot before they come out to vote so they feel informed, because once they get here, we can't help them. So if you go out to our local Gloucester County elections and voter registration webpage, you'll be able to see those sample ballots. They are posted out there online today. And also, I don't know if you'd like to add them to our Facebook page. You could do that, Savannah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be posting more election things as we get closer to November 7th. With soil and water, what's going on in that election?
Oh, awesome. What we have is we have 2 seats that are always on our ballot, but this year we only have 1 candidate running. So the other candidate that's going to win for that seat will be a write-in candidate. Voters can write in any seat on the ballot, but basically this write-in will be a winner for this seat. And that won't be decided until the day after the election, when the electoral board actually reviews the results at the canvass. But I would like to speak directly to anybody that is doing a write-in campaign to let them know that within 10 days of accepting or spending any money, that you have to file your statement of organization online with the Department of Elections. And you can find their information out on the website under the Department of Elections, and look under the Campaign Finance Division.
Are all citizens of Gloucester County voting in the same elections and races?
Most of the ballot is the same, but there are Board of Supervisors and school board that you do vote according to your magisterial district. So that would be unique to that voter's ballot, which all of our 11 ballots are listed. Also, due to redistricting, we do have a split in our House district now. So we are the 68th for all of Gloucester County, except for Gloucester Point, which is our Hayes and Sarah's Creek precinct. They are now in the 69th district.
Okay.
So there's just most of the ballots the same, except for those small little pieces, parts. And like I said, those sample ballots, each one is on the website and people can review it in advance and let them know what they specifically are voting for.
Marvelous. It's always good to come to the polls with a plan.
Yes.
I know that we've talked about this a little bit, but just so that people can hear it, when you get to the polls and you're looking at the ballot, it doesn't always have party affiliation on that ballot, does it?
No, it does not. So actually, per the code, only federal, statewide, or General Assembly offices will list the party affiliation on the ballot in the state of Virginia. But as far as school board specifically questions that we've had, all candidates run as independents. They're not party backed to access the ballot. So just an example would be when a board of supervisor runs, they may receive the party nomination instead, and they don't have to turn in petition pages to access the ballot.
That's interesting. So it's something that they can't even be part of a party.
Well, as far
Or
as them being part of a party separate of our office, that is of their own choice. But as far as running as a candidate on the ballot, they are not. They run it as an independent. They receive independent signatures from the public to access the ballot. So it's in the reference to the access the ballot of how it works here. If we listed party candidate information for locals, which we do not because the state of Virginia does not do that for local offices, but if they did, they would be listed as independents because yes, they cannot be party backed. So now as far as what they do outside the office, we don't get in control of that. We just handle as far as party access for the ballot.
that's so interesting. And it's something that I wouldn't have known,
Right.
So
A lot of people don't. And it's interesting that you say that because I love you doing this because this helps inform voters of so many things that there's misinformation out there about. So thank you for clarifying that.
oh, it's always fun to do the podcast. So speaking of another thing that I know that there's been some misinformation about before, can you talk to me about there's some absentee ballot by mail changes this year, right? So what's different this time?
That's a big one. And I'm really glad you're covering this because I've been wanting to get this out there. So before, to make your absentee by mail ballot count, you had to, in the return envelope, have a witness signature. That has gone away per legislature. They have passed the law now, no more witness signature. But now what it does require, it is not optional, is the last four of your social security number and the year of your birth. Now that is on the back of the envelope and it's very, very clear. It puts on there for you to put your year of birth, for you to put your signature, and for you to put your last four of your social security number. So it's very clear what's on there, but we just want people to know, these voters, please, it's not optional. You have to put that information now.
Yes, absolutely. And
We
there's
want
a
your vote to count. It takes a lot to do absentee by mail. So we want to make sure if you go through this process and you can't get out to the polls, we want your vote to count.
And if people aren't comfortable putting it in the mailbox, there is a drop-off ballot box near your office, right?
Yeah, and that's wonderful. We have a secure drive-through ballot drop box. It's under 24-hour surveillance and it's located right at the back of our building. So if you don't even want to get out of your car, literally you can just drive through and drop it in. And then you don't need to worry about, did we get it through the mail? You know we have it because every day we go out there and we empty that ballot box and we check those voters in the system.
Perfect. How do you return your absentee ballot if you change your mind and you say, I want to go in. I want to vote on paper or on the machine on election day?
I love this question too. You're just hitting all the most important questions. So we want you to return your unvoted sealed ballot pack back to us as soon as you can. So if you did put it in the drop box, you'd want to write on the sealed envelope across it, void. So when we know when we get it in, there's not a voted ballot in there, and we would uncheck you from the system, which would allow you to vote normal. If you wanted to come and vote in person on early voting, it would work where you could hand it in, we would uncheck you and check you in then as a early voter, and you could go ahead and vote in person. But on election day, the rules change. So if you have not handed that ballot back into us to uncheck you, when you go to the polls, you're going to be checked in as already voting. So you're going to either have to hand that pack in again to then be unchecked to check in normal, or you're going to have to vote a provisional ballot. And we try to eliminate ever having to have somebody vote a provisional ballot because that ballot is not counted on election night. It has to wait until after the canvass with the electoral board where they look at the provisional ballots. Normally, if a voter, has not returned their ballot and that check-in process is decided by the board, it could count, but it's just the process that if you know you're not going to vote that ballot and you return it to us, we will uncheck you from the system and then you can vote normal however you want.
So you can either drop it off with the void message or bring it in with you when you go to vote and hand it
Yes.
to the electoral.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's right. Hand it into the elections office.
Perfect. So here's a big one too. How does your office make sure that absentee ballots are filled out by real voters and those
Yeah.
voters don't come back on election day to double dip? I mean, we covered it a bit there,
Yeah.
but just to hit that
No,
again.
but this is really wonderful. Again, this is a question we hear, and we follow procedures that ensure this does not happen. A registered voter must request an absentee ballot by mail with an application, and we match those records we have on file for that voter, and that voter is checked into our system that shows that they've already voted. So anyone that has tried to vote twice has been turned over to the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, and we have caught them in the past. So I always say, please don't try. You will be prosecuted, and the process works, and it's secure.
Don't try just to test it out, right? You'll get in
No.
trouble.
Yes, testing is a prosecution. You can't test. It works.
Yes, right. Okay. So I know for this election in particular, we've got a bond referendum on the ballot. And
Yes.
that's kind of like a bigger question that people have to read through and then
Oh, yeah.
choose an answer instead of a person. So how can people learn about that question ahead of time?
I'm going to beg them to learn about that ahead of time, because once you get to the polls and you're standing in, there to vote, having to read that whole thing and then trying to understand it, there's nobody here that can help you interpret it. So at that time, what I'm going to ask is that you do go on to our local Gloucester County elections and voter registration webpage and you read that referendum in advance. Now, also when you're reading it, the Gloucester County administration has offered a sheet on that that's an explanation sheet. And basically that explains what it means. And so I'd say read that explanation sheet. And if you still have questions, you can go to one of the town hall meetings, and you can also look to Savannah here, because she's doing a fabulous job of getting information about all the formats and the ways that people can find out what this referendum means and how to interpret it.
Yes, and I just want to reiterate something you said there, because you guys are not allowed to explain it to people who have come to vote, right? On election
No,
day.
no, we cannot. We
Right.
cannot, we have to stay nonpartisan and neutral of all things. So we cannot answer any questions in reference to a ballot once a voter's in the polls. So there, even if they're checking in and they're asking us questions, there's at no point any election officer, whether in our elections office or on the polls on election day, anyone can do that.
Right. So come with a plan, guys. You're hearing it
Yes,
here.
please.
Everyone matters. We want everyone to be able to vote who's of age and eligible. So what is the deadline to register to vote or to change? Like
Yeah,
maybe you've moved and you need to make sure
absolutely.
you're voting in the right district.
Our big day is October 16th. So please, if you have any changes, do it now. It's super easy. So October 16th is the last day for you to change your name, your address, or get registered. So after that, voters will have to cast that provisional ballot again. That's not reviewed election night. It's reviewed after election day by the electoral board at the canvas. So I always say, if you have any changes, please, it's super easy. You can do it 24/7 at home, in the evening, in your PJs, online, and update your record.
That's the best way for me to fill out forms.
Yeah.
So we've talked about voting in person. We've talked about absentee ballot. Can we hit on early voting a little bit? So can you explain how that works and what people would need to do if they want to take advantage of that kind of voting?
Yes, that is another very easy and secure process. All you do is show up at our elections office with your acceptable ID. You'll check in, you'll receive your ballot, and you'll place it in the voting machine. It's the same way you do it on election day. But we're open here Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. We're also open the last two Saturdays, October 28th and November 4th. And on Saturdays, we are here from 9 to 5. We're at 6467 Main Street, Building 1 of the courthouse buildings. When you turn down Justice Drive, you'll turn left into our parking lot in the back, and you'll see signs that will help you find our ballot box and our office.
That's perfect. Are there any other things people really need to research before they show up for election day?
I would say sample ballots, this capital improvements bond explanation sheet. If you have questions about candidates, you'll need to do that research, like we said, prior to coming to vote. Although we can't provide you information, you can find that candidate's contact information on the Department of Elections website. If you go under the 2023 local office candidates, they actually list each of their names and numbers, so you can contact your elected officials, and you can watch your local news outlets for continued election-related news.
I know you've also got a great resource for people who are interested in the election process, and that's your website just
Mhm.
answers a bunch of questions, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I always say, please be sure to look at the official Gloucester County website for accurate information before spreading misinformation. We need you, Gloucester County, to, share the truth.
Yes, and thank you for being voters, guys. We really appreciate how kind you are to our volunteers, and we appreciate that you make your voice heard because Gloucester County is better when you're involved in the process. Thank you for coming, Bobby. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain all these things for our voters.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the Gloucester County voters who keep coming out. My amazing staff, electoral board, and election officers, please remember when you go out to vote to say thank you to them. They're your neighbors, they're your family and your friends in this community. And they're serving long hours to ensure the elections are run with integrity. And I appreciate each of them. So please come out and say thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about the bond referendum, visit gloucesterva.gov. Scroll down the homepage until you see 2023 Bond Referendum. That page is dedicated to explaining each aspect of the question you'll be answering on November 7th. That's all I have time for today, but you can always keep up with the county by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. All of our departments are highlighted on gloucesterva.gov as well. Take care, Gloucester.